Like many over recent months, I've been trying to make sense and understand how a genocide has been able to take place and continues to take place in Palestine with no intervention by the international community. I've been involved in campaigning for Palestine for over a decade now, and there's been people who have been involved far longer than I have. And despite all the previous horrors and pain, this obviously is the worst period that certainly I have witnessed. But I've been trying to understand, just as a human being, how this has been allowed to happen. And we know that we're ruled by gangsters, criminals, who don't even pretend anymore. Been indoctrinated in our society in the West to believing we are the most civilized and most moral in the world, and of course that is nonsense if you look into history and have the courage to understand what our societies have been built upon. But I've been trying to think a little bit deeper, and I think it really comes down to the fact, obviously our economic system that undermines our moral fabric, encourages individualism and competition, and the associated military-industrial complex that makes trillions on the backs of broken bodies and minds and communities. But I think it fundamentally comes down to the fact that we are so disconnected from each other, that we fail to understand that what we do to others, we do to ourselves. And we know that. We know there'll be a consequence in the West for what's been allowed to happen in the Middle East. And it's understandable and inevitable. But we need to find a new way forward for everyone, for every ordinary person in this world that longs for a kinder world. And for me, I feel like it's a need to understand the wisdom of the indigenous communities. We know we had indigenous communities in the past that were wiped out and erased and some burnt at the stake. But I really feel a calling to reconnecting with those traditions. And that's just some thoughts that I have. And, quantum physics is, and I'm not a physicist, I was pretty useless at physics at school. But it certainly is opening up lots of possibilities around energy and how we're all connected. But I think that is something to work on. The pandemic really demonstrated to us how we are all connected, regardless of your views of what the pandemic was or wasn't. What it did demonstrate is what happens on the other side of the world does indeed affect us. So I guess, why am I making this video? I guess it's to encourage others to recognise that whether we like it or not, our futures are inextricably linked for good or bad, and that can be seen in a spiritual way, and I definitely feel that myself, certainly since 2020. But it's an understanding that we have a shared future as human beings. And if we want to bring about that kind of world which so many people long for, a world based on love and compassion and collaboration and cooperation, then we need to start with understanding our shared humanity, and that nobody wins in this economic system that we're living in, that nobody wins in a hierarchical system where the 1% get to enslave everybody else and get to erase some that they deem as less human to be totally erased. We must believe it's possible, because everything good and bad starts in our mind. So I guess that's my encouragement, is to encourage people to dream that we can have a kinder world, and to take steps towards bringing it about, whilst fighting at this moment for humanity, fighting for an end to this horrific genocide we're witnessing, doing whatever it takes, whatever is within our power. But beyond that, to imagine and then take steps towards creating a world that all of us can thrive in, that will heal us as individuals, as communities, and the planet as a whole. So that's my 10 pence worth on the subject. But I just wanted to share it.